Should we do the injuries first up, Mark? Because I guess that's crucial really to the shape of things for this weekend, particularly at left back for Harrison Dunk, for Brandon Hornstrop. How are things looking there?
Yeah, Brandon's out running. He won't train till next week. Harrison will come out this morning and see how he goes. So we'll wait and see over the next couple of days how he does. But in that position, we're a little bit. It might be Dunks or it might not. That's going to depend on how he goes over the next couple of days. Everywhere else, obviously Adam May came off with an injury at the weekend. He's got a scan today. So we're waiting on the outcome of that. Will Mannion had a scan on Tuesday. There's no real ligament damage in his knee, so he'll be missing for a week or so. And obviously Adam will wait for the outcome of the scan today. Clearly won't be available this weekend and will be out for a period of time, but the outcome of that will determine, obviously, will give us a time frame of how long that will be.
Just to recap, what was that for Adam? What did he do?
It's in his knee. He's twisted as he's landed in the penalty box. So yeah, it's a bit swollen at the minute. So we'll just wait and see the extent of that injury. But obviously, there's a little bit something going on with some of his ligaments in the knee. So we'll wait and see the outcome. Hopefully, we'll get the results for the scan later this week or Friday afternoon. But if not, then it'll be early next week when he's followed up with a consultant. So. We know it'll be a little bit of time, but we'll just wait and see how long that will be, which is a shame for him because he's been playing well and doing well. Shame for us, obviously, but as always, give some opportunities to others, and yeah, they'll be looking forward to taking those.
Yeah, and with Will, presumably something he did in training, was it?
Yeah, just blocked a shot in training and opened his knee up a little bit, which has been fine. Actually, it was Friday afternoon, literally at the end of the session. So James Holden wasn't expecting to travel, so he had to get to WH Smith at the services and buy a toothbrush, but he was all right to come and travel and stay overnight, so he was sorted. And then yeah, so we've scanned that with Will. That's settled down, but he won't be available at the weekend.
And Jack Lancaster back on the bench at the weekend, having taken that knock at the end of the Ipswich game. Is he completely fine?
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, everyone else is fine and injury free. So obviously, defensively, we're a little bit lighter. Central midfield, it gives opportunities for, say, Simpson, Warman to get closer to the team, to Liam O'Neill to play and get a run in the team, hopefully. And he's been in a great position to be ready for that. So, yeah, it just opens up different opportunities for others. But in the attacking area of the pitch, we're quite well blessed and got lots of good options, which is great.
Now, this may be too simplistic a way of looking at it, but with the defence, if Harrison doesn't make it, is it slightly more straightforward in that your big concern last weekend was against Bristol Rovers, a bit harder for George Williams and for Dribble to get forward against Sheffield Wednesday? Is there more of a parallel with Ipswich where they can do their defensive work and it's not so much of an issue if they can't bomb forward?
Well, we'll see. I mean, obviously, Sheffield Wednesday will want to try and keep us deep and stop that threat. It's really important for us if we're going to build possession or control any periods of the game and obviously have wide attacking threats. We're going to need fullbacks who can do that and are responsible to take the ball and can get beyond the halfway line and create good chances for the team and help us build possession. That will be key, I think, in the game. But at the same time, you're always playing against a team that want to stop you from doing that. So we'll see where Dunks is at as to whether he's an option that side. We know James Brophy's an option on the left side. We know that George has played there a couple of games now on the opposite side to normal and Gibber at right back. So we've got a couple of options there as to who we could go with and what we could do. But obviously the plan going into this game will be individual to this game, different to the previous ones. And we've got to make sure that it's a game we go and play with a real belief that we can cause them some problems, because I think we can.
When you make those changes and looking at the areas where you are light, I guess it's always a balancing act in that you're looking at the specific positions if it's left back, but then in the case of what you've done the past couple of games, you're shifting George Williams, so it then changes right back as well. If you use James Brophy, you're changing midfield, so it's all interconnected.
Yeah, and you've got to work out really where are the biggest threats in the team that we can cause them a problem, and which unit of the team are we most happy to disrupt. So we'll try to put an 11 together from the start that we think gives us the best chance of, I guess, both sides of the game, containing them and bringing some control and quality to our own game. So that will be the big decisions to make going into the weekend. And obviously, how we start isn't always how we're going to finish, and vice versa with the other team. You know, you look at these teams you play against; they have a lot of options to change. They've got options to change shape in game. We were just discussing this morning that Sheffield Wednesday, for example, have played a real mixture of a back three and a back four, and played with different shapes in the midfield, usually with a front two, but different shapes in midfield. And they've changed shape in game in the last few as well. And I think the options they have on the bench allows them to do that throughout the squad, and they can adjust from one to the other quite well. Ipswich are fairly consistent in their shape, but I was at Peterborough Tuesday. They changed in game from a back four to a back three. I think you see that quite as a common way. So that obviously dictates what we do in game as well. But certainly our starting point is, how do we give ourselves the best chance of being our best version of ourselves, and give ourselves a chance of taking something from the game with a shape for the opposition in mind, of how we think they're going to go about it. But as we found last week, teams go into games in their own way as well, and they might chop and change as well. So being able to adjust in game is really important, and being able to adapt as players is key as well. And I'm no doubt that will be something for us this weekend.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday were a great side last season, added to a squad over the summer, particularly significant, I guess, a couple of promotion winners in a Heckway and Smith. Do you feel they've got even more to their blend this time around? I guess with those two players, you have a real option to mix it up and really battle away if you need to.
Exactly. I think we've said this a few times now. You look at the top teams, they've definitely got stronger in terms of starting teams and squads this year. There's no doubt about that. They've got some top players. And they will, expectation of their club is obvious. It's they've got to get promoted. So we know that the pressure is always on those sides, and it becomes a bit repetitive and boring constantly saying that in a number of the games that we play. But it's just reality of the league that we're in and the level that we're at. But we want to try and be a team that can compete with these teams. We've said that a number of times before. We've ridden some of them close this year, and other times it's been really difficult for us. Like probably the same pattern as last year. We're in a period at the moment, you know, we said this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were playing a lot of them in succession, which makes the challenge great, but the challenge being great is a brilliant thing. I think that the fact that we are regularly playing teams now that we've got to try and compete with, that we would have been delighted to draw in the FA Cup a few years ago, is just a sign of where we are and where we want to get to regularly. And it's a good challenge for us. So hopefully the players can go and give the best version of that, and go and be a really competitive, strong, aggressive team that takes control in the moments that we get and the moments that we can, and is really ruthless in our use of the ball as well, because there's no doubt there's large parts of their game that are going to test us at the weekend, and individuals that can test us. But I know we've got players that can do that as well. And it's about making sure that the players have got that freedom and confidence to go and do that.
What's your overall assessment of the past month or so? Because inevitably, football being football, you lose a few games and then the certain comments, people are unhappy. Of course, that's the way it goes. But overall, how do you see the past group of games?
Yeah, probably in line with what, I don't want to say as we expected, because that sounds really, really pessimistic, but we knew the last month of games, and that this month of games in particular is a really challenging month and a really tough month. And I think if you look at our results in the first 10 games and our results over the course of last year, we got a couple of belting results against big teams last year. But in the main, the top teams had a bit too much for us at times. And the ruthless nature of those teams is if you don't take the game when it's yours, or you make an error that allows them a chance, you're going to get punished for it. I think that's just the nature of this league. And we'll probably see that roll out throughout the whole season with a lot of the teams in the level that we're currently at. You can't choose the order of those games. You know, we had games in the first 10 that we should win or we want to win, but the should win's a dangerous statement because we've got no divine right to beat anybody. We're scrapping to be a team at this level all the time, and we have to be at our very, very best, physically and technically and tactically, in order to be competitive and take points from games. So I look at the last month and think, I look at the first month probably, or the first batch of games, and think, yeah, we got some really good results in there. Games were quite close quite often. And when you find that momentum and that confidence, your game can really look after itself. And then you have periods where it's a little bit tougher and things don't go your way, and that momentum shifts a little bit, and you've got to work your way through that. So really how I look at it is, this is just what happens in football seasons. It's happened for over 100 years, and it will happen for another 100. So I'm not really too worried about runs and good and bad runs, really. We weren't dancing on the ceiling when we were 5 wins in 10, and we're not walking into training crying at the minute. We're just getting on with the job, trying to do the best we can, try and get better, try and stick together and work really hard through the tough spells. And when we get through October, things settle down a little bit, which will give us a chance to get everybody fit, which will give us a chance to train a little bit and push. But we know we've got some tough games in that spell. But I think you want a team that are going to scrap and fight and give the best for that. And I think we've got that. So that won't always go in our favour for results, but that's fine. And the noise outside of what we discuss in our team is completely irrelevant to me. So we do what we do. We're good at it, and we're in a good position, really. And we've got to try and turn around a tricky run of results and see if we can get some points. But we know that the next couple of weeks are really tough games, but it doesn't mean we can't get some results from them.
Cool, that's great for me.
Hi, Mark. On that point, at the same time, how frustrating is this run of form for everyone at the minute?
I'm not sure it is frustrating, I'll be honest. It's disappointing because nobody wants to lose, but it's just what happens, you know. It's a consequence of playing in a brilliant league against brilliant teams and having a bit of a spell where we haven't been able to quite get the performances or the results for our performances as it happens. But the big dramatic headline is what it is in terms of points. But in the end, it doesn't matter. Total number of wins after 46 games is what matters. You get wrapped up in everything else every few weeks. It's just like, it's 1 week of 44 in a season. It's a bad week, but crack on because you've got another 33 games to play. So when you get wrapped up and spend all your energy on what's happened, fine, but that won't help with what's coming next. So there's no time for disappointment. There's no time for frustration. There's only time for controlling the next bit. And sometimes it can turn really quickly, and sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. But we're not ones to panic, really. We know that we're a little bit light defensively at the minute with injuries. We know that Adam's a bit of a loss in midfield. We know that we've not quite turned some games into results that we could have got, or performances in spells at other times. But we also know that when we're at our best, we're good. And so we've got to put all our energy into being at our best as best we can and crack on with it, and know that if this is the first time in 2.5 years that people are a little bit worried about we've had a few dodgy results, I wouldn't worry about having a dodgy spell. I would absolutely praise the Lord that we've had such an unbelievable spell. And if you think that lasts forever, then you're just crazy. I've been a Cambridge fan for enough years to know that that's not how it works. And I think football fans know that as well. So in the main, we just get on with it and know that things turn. And the only way they turn is if you work towards making them turn. So that's our focus now.
With Sheffield Wednesday as well, what type of team are you expecting from them on Saturday in terms of how they set up and style of play and things like that?
A good one. They've got some lovely options in their side. Very often they play with the front two, and obviously they've got some real presence at the top of the pitch, hard-working players that are good runners and got a physical presence on crosses and in direct play, and Gregory and Smith and Volks as well. We've seen a lot of options. A lot of options in the front line of the pitch. Patterson also. So they've got good options there. I think they've got some excellent crosses of the ball, and in midfield they've got a lot of numbers and options that can create chances for them. Without a doubt, we've seen that when we've played them, but we've seen it from this season as well. Everyone always talks about Barry Bannon and what a strong player he is, but whilst he might be the best player in the league, they've also got a lot of other options in their team that can cause you problems. So we have to talk through that, and we have to discuss where they're strong and what problems they're going to cause us and challenges they're going to cause us, and they will, because that's the way the game works. But we also have to go into the game believing that we're an angry team from last weekend, and we have to show that in our own performance, and we have to make sure that we hit the level that we can, because I know on our day we've got players that can cause any team in this league problems too. And it's about giving the players the confidence and the platform to say, go on, be you, go and do what you do. Forget everything else. Don't judge confidence on a 7-day cycle. You either believe in yourself or you don't. Get on with it, and let's go and show what we can do. So that's our aim this weekend. We've got to try and do that the best we can, knowing that we're playing against a well-organised team that have got really good quality and huge expectation on them. and see if we can get a really good performance. But we'll need energy in the stadium, we need energy in the team, we need everybody getting behind the players and driving us on, because this is tough. It's a tough league to play in. I think everybody knows that. And we need everybody to understand that and know how together and committed we've got to be in order to compete.
And just on the injury front as well, is there a certain length of time that you know you're going to be without Adam Mate for?
No.
Okay. And with Brandon Hornstrop as well, he's not going to be back in training until next week. Is the Papa John's game still a potential chance for him to play in that?
No, too soon now. So it might be the following week that we can get him out. It would depend how he goes in the next week. So that was the penciled in date, but it won't be then.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.